Hi everybody, welcome to Scary Music Party. It is Saturday, June 26th, and I am your host, Sarah, and welcome to Scary Music Party, the show where we talk about everything Scarypoolparty related. If this is your first time here, welcome, and if not, thanks for coming back. I wouldn't do this without the fans, and I really appreciate the support on all the shows, and the fact that the support has continued for so long just makes me so thankful and grateful to be involved in this fandom, and yeah, I love it. So let's get into it. So the summer's tour is over. It's very bittersweet for me. I love the summer tour. That quote, kind of comes to mind. Don't be sad because it's over, smile because it happened. And that's exactly how I feel right now. It was one of those things that I feel like this is it. I feel like he is going to break into the music industry with this album, and he's touring, coming up in the fall, which we're going to talk about later. And I just feel like the summer tour was kind of a thank you for fans. It really wasn't advertised, and it was very small venues, and I really just loved being there. I loved the vibe of it. It was intimate. He played very different versions of the songs, some of which I'm going to play today during the show while we're talking about the tour. And yeah, it was just so amazing. So I'm grateful for this tour. He was really relaxed, and except for Nashville, I think Nashville felt a little nerve-wracking maybe because he thought that there was a lot of industry people in the audience, which, I don't know. I was paying attention to him. So I did love the Tin Man story. So that's what I love about him though, because I'm a very awkward person, and I love that I can relate to that because he started talking about Wizard of Oz and the Tin Man, and he also talked about having 7-hour concerts, and I don't think he realizes that he would definitely have fans that would come and sit there for 17 hours to watch him play. But yeah, it was such a great vibe, and we're super, super lucky. So basically the set list was the same in all the cities. He did change the order towards the end of the tour. He started with Out Loud, of course, and that's always a part of every show. Tonight, Cholo Love, Return to Sender, Fake Smiles, and Friends. So he did Tonight, Cholo Love, Return to Sender, and Fake Smiles, and Friends with Travis and Max. So those 4 songs, they were very different versions. So that was 5 songs actually. Very different versions. And I think actually Travis and Max came out in the middle of Tonight at most of the shows, but very different version of Return to Sender, which I heard mixed reviews about, but he loves to experiment, and honestly I love that part of him. So I am never going to be upset when he tries out different things and different types of music. I think that that's part of what makes him such an enigma, is that he just changes constantly. He is like a chameleon. So he also did Millennial Love, The Darkness, Poison, Falling Down, Cell Phones, and 10 Years. Now, towards the end of the tour, he started playing The Darkness at the end, and he was playing like a 10 or 11 minute version of The Darkness, and it was intense. I mean, watching this song in each city, at one point, Birmingham was outside, and it was a very well attended concert. It was during Pride in Birmingham. There were a lot of people there. There were a lot of young people there. I wasn't a fan of the way that it was kind of set up, but it was cool. It was still an amazing show. And yeah, the people there were super nice. And it was Pride, it was fun. And so even at that show, The Darkness was just insane. And I thought the people that were there, the audience was super receptive to him, cheering. And it was just such a great vibe. Totally different than the Dallas and Houston shows. And, I was so grateful to be at Birmingham. But we're going to start off with Dallas. So Dallas was at the House of Blues, and the people there were just so nice. Like, I love the bartender. I don't remember her name. We had front row seats. I had very good seats in Dallas. And he, came out. He is always so charismatic on stage. He just has an amazing stage presence. And the show was no different. It was full. There were many, many people there, and the show was amazing. I got a lot of pictures at that show. I did not live record anywhere except I tried to in Houston, but I got in trouble, so I quit because I don't like being in trouble. But I did voice record the early show in Nashville because I wanted a recording for the shows. So I did voice record. I did not live stream. And I did record in the Nashville Late Show. I did record my favorite song, Falling Down. And I felt guilty the entire time because I was like live recording. I wasn't live streaming. I was just recording. And yeah, so I just felt guilty. Like, I don't know. I can't do it. I'm not sneaky enough, and I just can't get away with it. So I'm not even going to try anymore because it just did not work out. But anyway, that said, I did get a very good audio recording of the Nashville early show, which I was very grateful for. So I started like in Dallas, and Dallas was getting on the plane. I got on the plane in Philly, and every plane I got on broke. Like, literally, like 3 times. So I ended up leaving Philly 4 hours late and missed dinner. It was just crazy. So I'm writing Julie. I'm like, oh my God, the plane's broken again. And then we got on a second plane, and that plane wasn't working. And we literally sat in the plane. It was so hot. And that plane broke. And it was like twice that it broke. And I wrote Julie at one point, and I was like, look, if one more plane breaks, I might not be there because I'm not feeling really confident about this airline. And let me just say that I took Frontier Airline, and it was kind of a mistake. I meant to book Southwest, which is who I always fly with. And for some reason, I was on Travelocity and not Southwest, and I ended up choosing Frontier, which was a huge mistake. I will say the plane was clean. And, I didn't have any other issues once the plane took off. Like, it was just getting out of the airport, like literally. So then flying back, I flew back on Southwest. And that was perfect. I mean, we stopped in Chicago, and I had a little bit of a layover there, and then I was back in Philly by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was great. I did have like a funny interaction with an Uber driver in Houston because he was like, I was like, okay, I have to go to the international airport. He's like, well, Southwest doesn't fly out of there. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what my ticket says. So I'd like to go to the international airport. And he basically argued with me. So I'm in the back of the Uber or the taxi trying to like find out if Southwest flies out of Houston. And they had started like 4 days before that flying out of Houston. So Southwest does fly out of Houston. But anyway, back to the show. So I met up with Julie. Julie and Jamie picked me up at the international airport in Dallas Fort Worth, which by the way is a massive airport. And so they picked me up, and we went to our hotel, which was the Spring Suites. And Julie had checked in earlier that day, and I'm at the airport. She's like, can I call you? And I'm like, yeah. So she ran into Alejandro and Oscar and Max and Travis in the lobby of our hotel. So they were staying at our hotel. It was pretty obvious. Everybody got to see Alejandro except me, which kind of sucked. I was okay. Like, whatever. I'm not there to meet him. I just want to listen to his music. I've always said that. But yeah, it was kind of a bummer that everybody got to see him except me. But that's all right. I don't know. I'm okay with it. But so she like freaked out, went to her room, and like I got in at 9 o'clock that night, and I was exhausted because I had been at the airport the whole day, or flying, either one. And yeah, so we went to the show the next day. It was extremely hot. We also went to the aquarium, which, by the way, if you haven't been to the aquarium in Dallas, like, it is amazing. I was so blown away by the aquarium. I had so much fun there, and we just really enjoyed it. I don't know. We walked around, went to the aquarium. We had lunch. We had mimosas at like 7:30 a.m. It was just quite the experience. We went to the show later that day and got in line, and only got in line like an hour earlier. And the people at the House of Blues were like amazing. We had dinner there prior to the show, and they were just so awesome. I can't shout out the Dallas House of Blues enough, because the people there were just so nice. And we went to the show. We were in the front row, and gosh, it was just such a great show. And I'm always, when I see him, and it doesn't matter how many times I see him, whenever I see him, I'm always in awe for like the first, like, I don't know, 30 minutes of the show. I just sit there and I'm like, oh my God, like, he's so talented. And then by the second day, I'm a little less, in awe. But I just, like, if you haven't seen him in tour, in concert, live, you really need to see him, because he exudes this like art, this like he just has this presence that I can't fully explain, and it is awe-inspiring. And I think we all feel that way when we see him, is that he's just so amazing. And trust me, the live streams, while they're very good, and I love the live streams, they don't do the experience justice. Like, seeing him live is definitely much better. So yeah, so I started in Dallas, and Julie and I drove to Houston, which is like 3 hours away. We did have kind of a shot glass emergency. I needed to get a shot glass because I do that. And we went to Houston and checked in Houston. The room in Houston was really nice. And yeah, so we like walked around and met up with people, and it was just very hot. I remember being very hot. And the House of Blues in Houston is like on the 3rd floor. It was really crazy. So we went to get in line. We had dinner prior at a restaurant, which I wasn't a real big fan of the bartender at the restaurant. So Julie and I left, and we went to another bar, which the guy was much nicer. And it was across the street from the House of Blues in Houston. And then we went to the House of Blues to have a drink. And all got in line at like, I don't know, I guess it was like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And so this guy comes out, and we're all in line. There's 12 of us. It's like, Mike B and his wife, and it's Tom and Diana and me and Julie and a bunch of other people. Like, just a bunch of people were there. And this guy comes out to us in line and is like, do you guys want to go in the VIP room? And we're all like, it was funny because our first response wasn't like, oh yeah, definitely. Our first response was, well, we don't really want to lose our place in line. So, like, I think the guy was like, and then he looks at us and he's like, well, we have a secret passageway into the show. And we're all like, okay. So we go into this VIP section in the House of Blues Houston, and it's like this amazing place. There's like a bartender, and people ordered food, and it was just such, I don't know, like, it would just feel so good to be there, and it was so happy. And we went and got in line to go to the show, and went back this really weird hallway, and people were like, I remember the bouncer, like the guy that took us into the VIP room was like, okay, I'm going to go get him now. I think everybody died right at that moment. I kind of knew because there was no way he was going to go in a tiny little hallway without security, and you couldn't fit much there. I'm still not sure why that happened, but it was awesome. And the people at the Houston House of Blues were really nice as well. The one thing I wasn't totally happy about in Houston was the fact that the fans, the front row was not filled up, and it just kind of sucked. It was like, I guess they sold it to their VIP members for that room upstairs that we were in, and they sold it to them first, but then like people didn't show up, so like the fans, the stands couldn't even get front row tickets to that show. So, I was kind of out on the whole seating thing, but the show was great nonetheless. I mean, he is always good. I would listen to him if I was in the worst seat in the house. I wouldn't care. I just want to go see him. So, yeah, it was such a good experience in Texas, and the people there are so nice. And I got to meet Yolanda and Jamie, which was awesome. I got to meet a lot of people, and this isn't to take away from anybody. I just, I talk to the moderators all the time, and Yolanda is so different in person. Like, she's so outgoing and happy, and I think everybody was just so happy to be there, and yeah, it was just great. It was such a great time. And we went, from there, I flew home to Philly and got in my car, drove to DC, and picked up Katie Trin. So, yeah, that started the Birmingham, Nashville tour for us. And Katie, I didn't think was going to survive. She was so excited, and she had like outfits, and I did have more suitcases, though. I have to be honest. I didn't know what I wanted to wear, and I feel like super overweight right now, so I just bought a lot of options. But it was, you know what, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care what you look like, so I just felt happy to be in the audience and listening to Scary Pool Party music, which we did. And the thing that was awesome about the Birmingham show, like, we were in this kind of section behind the VIP section, and Max and Travis and, Raquel all came out, and I think Faye was there, and I think Oscar was there. They all came out into our section, and they were kind of like hanging out and like watching the show. And we didn't bother them, because, I don't know. I just think that the fans that I met, I think they were super respectful, and we kind of just hung out and watched the show and didn't make a big deal about it. I would like them to know that they're comfortable and they don't have to worry about us bum rushing them every time they're out and about. Like, that would just suck. So, yeah, it was such a great experience, the tour. And I think, so with the tour, the different versions, he played all the same songs. They were in a different order in some cities, but he played different versions for different songs in different cities. So at least one or two of the songs had long versions. In all of the shows I saw, Falling Down was a longer version, and The Darkness seemed to be pretty cohesive with all the shows. He played like a 11-minute version of The Darkness, which was just mind-blowing. I can't even stress enough how absolutely incredible that version was. It was like watching... I don't even know what it was like. I'm trying to come up with my words right now, but it was like what I would imagine watching Beethoven must have been like. Like, it was just so insane. His fingers move so fast on that song. And in the video, I know they put effects on it, but in real life, I could not track his finger movements. And Katie and I talked about this. Like, his fingers were moving so fast that it literally was impossible to track them with your eyes. That is how fast he was playing. So it was just, that song I think belongs in a movie. It just absolutely belongs in a movie. It needs to be on a soundtrack. I think Friends, to me, sounds like it should be on a TV show, and The Darkness sounds like it should be in a movie. Like, I think soundtracks and stuff are definitely in his future. If he's not doing something now. I mean, he is just so good with the emotion and with the drama. I think that's the one thing about The Darkness is it's such an incredible song. There's so much drama to the song that it just sounds like a movie soundtrack. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But anyway, so the fall tour. Anyway, so the summer tour was just absolutely incredible. I feel very lucky to have been able to attend and see the shows that I saw and have the seats that I had. It was absolutely an honor to be there and to see an intimate show like that. I know how the summer people must have felt in 2019, although this was much smaller, and I kind of enjoyed it. And I know he's not going to be that way forever. You know, whether we like it or not as fans, I think at some point it might be hard for us to get tickets. He eventually is going to blow up. He's going to have a song that just, makes him that popular. So I'm okay with that. I feel like I've gotten to see him a lot, and I will still get tickets. They just might not be, $1,000 in the front row. But I feel lucky that we got to have this time to see him, because I do think that eventually it will be harder for us to see him in that way. And, which is what I want for him. I wish him all the success in the world. I just want him to be able to make music forever. And, that is the goal here. The goal is just let Scarypoolparty make music forever, because the world needs his music. They need the emotion. We need more people that are willing to have their feelings be out in the open, and we need more people that feel. And we've come to this place in the world where we're hardened to violence and all of these things that are just wrong. They're just wrong. We have homeless people, and we turn a blind eye, and we have people that are hurt, and we tell them to grow up and not take everything so harshly. But the fact is, we should be taking it harshly. As a society, we should feel for the people that are around us, and we should help the homeless, and, we should help our fellow man to be better, and to, just help them out if they need it. I feel like this whole, one society thing where, we're kind of hardened to the realities of life, and we do this thing where we don't even say what's really on our mind. And I have this problem all the time, because people will ask me if I'm okay, and if I'm not, I will tell them, and it makes people really uncomfortable, and I can't help that. I am an honest person, and I value that in other people, and I value emotions in other people. So I think that there needs to be more of that in the world. I think that we need to turn off the TV sets and the internet and actually talk to each other, which may be an unpopular opinion, but I think it's the right opinion. I just want the world to be a better place. I want people to care about each other. So, I don't know. But that's where I'm at. I know that was kind of a, I got off track. But I'm going to play I'm going to play The Darkness from the early Nashville show. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I do have several versions from several of the shows for The Darkness, but I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be back after that, and we'll talk about more Scary Pool Party news.